Tonight's Dirty Dining, Local 10 investigator Jeff Wines here tries to get some answers from an owner who doesn't want you to know what inspectors found recently.
We all love a good deal on food, especially when you can eat as much as you want for one price. But what if I told you that some buffets across America are serving up more than just food on their plates? Today, we're counting down 6 restaurants where you should never, ever eat. These aren't just places with bad reviews or slow service. These are restaurants that have been shut down by health inspectors, caught with serious violations, and in some cases, reopened only to fail again. By the end of this video, you'll know exactly which buffets to avoid and how to spot the warning signs before you even walk through the door. Starting at number 6, we have Perris Buffet in Perris, California. This Inland Empire restaurant might look normal from the outside, but what health inspectors found inside tells a completely different story. On September 19, 2024, Riverside County officials walked into Perris Buffet for a routine inspection. What they discovered forced them to immediately shut down the entire restaurant. The problem was cockroaches, not just 1 or 2 that might have wandered in from outside. This was a full infestation. Inspectors found roaches in the kitchen area where food was being prepared. They found them near the storage areas where ingredients were kept. They even found evidence of roaches in places where ready-to-eat food was being held for service. When health inspectors find a cockroach infestation, it's not just about the bugs themselves. Roaches carry bacteria like Salmonella and E. coli on their bodies. They leave behind droppings and shed skin that can contaminate food. They can spread diseases that cause serious stomach problems, diarrhea, and food poisoning. Every surface they touch becomes a potential health hazard. The county gave Perris Buffet 1 week to fix the problem. This meant bringing in professional pest control, deep cleaning every surface, throwing out contaminated food, and proving that the roaches were completely gone. The restaurant did reopen after extensive pest control measures, but the damage to their reputation was already done. Local news covered the shutdown, and customers shared their disgust on social media. What makes this situation even worse is that cockroach infestations don't happen overnight. These pests need 3 things to survive: food, water, and shelter. A properly maintained restaurant shouldn't provide any of these. The fact that roaches had time to establish a breeding population suggests that cleaning and maintenance had been neglected for quite some time. Moving to number 5 on our list, we traveled to Decatur, Alabama, where Chow King Buffet and Grill faced an emergency closure that had nothing to do with the food itself. On May 30, 2025, Alabama public health officials arrived at the restaurant and immediately ordered it to shut down. The reason was something that would make anyone lose their appetite instantly. Sewage was backing up through a floor drain right in the food preparation area. Think about that for a moment. Raw sewage, containing human waste and countless bacteria, was flowing up from the pipes and spreading across the floor where food was being prepared. This wasn't happening in some back storage room or employee bathroom. This was in the actual kitchen where your meal was being cooked. Sewage backups in restaurants create what health officials call an imminent health hazard. This means the danger to public health is so severe that the restaurant must close immediately. There's no fixing it while staying open, no working around it, no temporary solutions. When raw sewage enters a food preparation area, everything in that area becomes contaminated. The bacteria found in sewage can cause severe illnesses including hepatitis A, norovirus, and various parasitic infections. These pathogens can survive on surfaces for hours or even days. Even after the sewage is cleaned up, microscopic contamination can remain unless proper sanitization procedures are followed. Every utensil, every cutting board, every surface that might have been exposed needs to be thoroughly disinfected. What's particularly concerning about the Chow King situation is that sewage backups usually don't happen suddenly. There are warning signs like slow drains, gurgling sounds from pipes, and bad smells. A responsible restaurant owner would address these issues immediately. The fact that it got to the point of actual sewage flowing into the kitchen suggests a serious failure in maintenance and management. Number 4 takes us to sunny Orlando, Florida, where El Palacio Buffet learned the hard way that health inspectors don't take food safety lightly. On June 9, 2025, inspectors arrived for what should have been a routine visit. Instead, they found so many violations that they had no choice but to shut down the restaurant on the spot. The list of problems at El Palacio Buffet reads like a textbook example of how not to run a restaurant. Inspectors found raw beef stored directly above seafood in the cooler. This might not sound like a big deal, but it's actually one of the most dangerous storage mistakes a restaurant can make. When raw meat drips onto food below it, especially seafood that might be served with minimal cooking, it creates a perfect opportunity for cross-contamination. But the storage problems were just the beginning. Live roaches were discovered under the prep tables where food was being prepared. These weren't areas that were rarely used or hidden away. These were active workstations where employees were preparing the food that would go out to the buffet line. The presence of live roaches in these areas means that every dish prepared there was at risk of contamination. The inspectors also found milk that had been left out at room temperature. Milk needs to be kept below 41 degrees Fahrenheit to prevent bacterial growth. When dairy products are left in what food safety experts call the danger zone, between 41 and 135 degrees, bacteria can double in number every 20 minutes. That seemingly innocent carton of milk can become a breeding ground for pathogens that cause severe food poisoning. El Palacio Buffet was allowed to reopen the next day, but only after passing a thorough re-inspection. This meant they had to fix every violation, clean every surface, reorganize their entire storage system, and prove to inspectors that they understood proper food safety procedures. The fact that they managed to reopen so quickly suggests they worked through the night to address the problems. Coming in at number 3, we stay in Florida, but head south to Hialeah, where China Buffet earned a spot on our list with an impressive 21 health code violations. On July 7, 2025, Florida Department of Business and Professional Regulation inspectors walked into China Buffet expecting a routine inspection. What they found was anything but routine. The main issue, once again, was live roaches throughout the kitchen. But this wasn't just a pest problem. The inspectors documented a facility that had clearly been neglected for an extended period. The walls were soiled with grease and food debris. Equipment throughout the kitchen was coated in layers of old grease. These conditions didn't develop overnight. They were the result of weeks or possibly months of inadequate cleaning. Grease buildup in a restaurant is more than just unsightly. It provides food for pests, creates slip hazards for workers, and can harbor dangerous bacteria. When grease accumulates on cooking equipment, it can affect the taste of food and create fire hazards. More importantly, old grease can become rancid, producing compounds that can make people sick even in small amounts. The combination of live roaches and excessive grease created what inspectors considered an imminent threat to public health. Roaches are attracted to grease and food debris. They feed on it, breed in it, and spread it around as they move through the kitchen. Every surface they touch becomes contaminated with bacteria from their bodies and droppings. China Buffet was ordered to close immediately. Before they could reopen, they had to address all 21 violations. This meant extensive cleaning, professional pest control, and retraining staff on proper sanitation procedures. The restaurant had to prove that they had not just cleaned up the immediate problems, but had put systems in place to prevent them from happening again. Number 2 on our countdown brings us to Miami, Florida, where Uptown Buffet set a record that no restaurant wants to hold. On February 18, 2025, health inspectors documented an astounding 41 food safety violations in a single visit. To put this in perspective, many restaurants go through entire inspections with 0 or maybe 1 minor violation. 41 violations indicate systematic failures across every aspect of food safety. Among the most disturbing findings were dead insects in a rice bin. Rice is a staple food at many buffets, often sitting in large warmers for extended periods. Finding dead insects in the rice storage means that contamination could have affected countless servings over days or even weeks. Every customer who ate rice from that buffet was potentially exposed to whatever bacteria or diseases those insects carried. The sushi bar presented its own set of problems. Inspectors found that ingredients used for sushi were being held at improper temperatures. Sushi-grade fish must be kept at very specific temperatures to prevent the growth of bacteria and parasites. When these temperature requirements are ignored, raw fish can become extremely dangerous to eat. The proteins in fish provide an ideal environment for bacterial growth, and without the safety net of cooking, temperature control is the only thing preventing illness. But perhaps the most troubling discovery was widespread roach activity throughout the restaurant. This wasn't limited to one area or one type of roach. Inspectors documented both live and dead roaches in multiple locations, suggesting an infestation that had been present for a considerable time. When roaches are found throughout a restaurant, it indicates failures in pest control, sanitation, and basic maintenance. Uptown Buffet was immediately ordered to close. The next day, inspectors returned for a follow-up visit. Remarkably, even after 24 hours of cleaning and repairs, they still found 29 violations. This suggests that the problems at Uptown Buffet were so severe that they couldn't be fixed overnight. It raises serious questions about how long these conditions had existed and how many customers might have been exposed to contaminated food. Finally, at number 1 on our list of restaurants where you should never eat, we have a Golden Corral location in Wichita, Kansas. Golden Corral is one of America's most popular buffet chains, serving millions of customers every year. But what health inspectors found at the Ridge Road location on May 14, 2025, during a complaint-based inspection was enough to make regional news. The inspection was triggered by customer complaints, which means people were already getting sick or noticing problems before officials arrived. What inspectors discovered validated those concerns, and then some. They found mouse feces scattered throughout food preparation and storage areas. Mouse droppings aren't just disgusting to think about. They can carry hantavirus, salmonella, and other serious diseases. Even dried droppings can become airborne and contaminate food or surfaces. Inspectors also documented urine stains, indicating that mice weren't just passing through but had established residence in the restaurant. Mice urinate constantly as they move, leaving invisible trails of contamination. Under ultraviolet light, these trails show the full extent of rodent activity. The presence of visible urine stains suggests a severe and long-standing infestation. Adding to the horror show, inspectors found live roaches in the facility. The combination of mice and roaches indicates a complete breakdown in pest control. These two pests rarely coexist in large numbers unless there's abundant food and poor sanitation. Their presence together suggests that basic cleaning and maintenance had been neglected for an extended period. The Golden Corral location received 3 critical violations in this single inspection. Critical violations are those that directly impact food safety and can cause immediate health risks to customers. Having 3 in one visit is extremely serious and indicates systemic failures in food safety management. The story made regional news, alerting thousands of potential customers to the dangerous conditions. What makes this particularly concerning is that Golden Corral is a major chain with corporate standards and supposedly regular quality checks. If a well-known chain location can have such severe problems, it raises questions about oversight and enforcement across the entire industry. It also demonstrates that brand recognition is no guarantee of food safety. Now that you know about these 6 dangerous buffets, let me share how you can protect yourself from similar situations. The good news is that health inspection records are public information. Before visiting any buffet, you can look up recent inspection scores on your county or state health department website. Many jurisdictions now post these records online, making it easy to check from your phone. Local news stations often run segments called dirty dining or restaurant report cards that highlight establishments with serious violations. These segments can be valuable resources for learning about problem restaurants in your area. Following these reports on social media or setting up news alerts can help you stay informed about food safety issues. When you arrive at a buffet, there are several things you can check before committing to eat there. Look at the sneeze guards over the food. They should be crystal clear, not foggy, greasy, or covered in fingerprints. Foggy sneeze guards indicate poor ventilation and possible temperature control issues. Greasy guards suggest inadequate cleaning throughout the facility. Pay attention to how quickly food turns over on the buffet line. Busy restaurants with high turnover keep food fresher and safer. If you see the same pan of food sitting there for an extended period, especially if it's supposed to be hot and seems lukewarm, that's a red flag. Food held at improper temperatures is one of the leading causes of foodborne illness. Trust your nose when you walk into a restaurant. You should smell food cooking, maybe some spices or fresh bread. What you shouldn't smell is bleach, garbage, sewage, or musty odors. Strong chemical smells might indicate recent emergency cleaning. Bad odors suggest sanitation problems. If something smells off, don't ignore your instincts. Watch the employees, especially those handling food. They should be wearing gloves when appropriate, washing hands frequently, and using separate utensils for different foods. If you see the same person handling money and then touching food without washing hands, that's a serious violation. Professional food handlers know better, and if they're being careless in view of customers, imagine what happens in the kitchen. Check the bathroom conditions. This might seem unrelated to food safety, but restaurants that maintain clean, well-stocked bathrooms usually run clean kitchens too. If the bathroom is dirty, has no soap or paper towels, or shows signs of neglect, the kitchen probably isn't much better. Employees need proper facilities to wash their hands, and a restaurant that doesn't provide these basics is cutting corners on safety. Look at the general cleanliness of the dining area. Are the floors sticky? Are there crumbs on seats or tables that should have been cleaned? Is there visible dust on light fixtures or air vents? These might seem like minor issues, but they indicate the restaurant's overall attention to cleanliness. If they don't care about what customers can see, they probably care even less about areas customers can't see. Consider the temperature of cold foods at the buffet. Salad bars, cold seafood, and dairy-based items should feel genuinely cold to the touch. If that potato salad feels room temperature or the shrimp cocktail isn't on ice, bacteria could be multiplying rapidly. Cold foods must be kept below 41 degrees Fahrenheit to remain safe. Similarly, hot food should be steaming hot, not just warm. Steam rising from food is a good sign that it's being held at safe temperatures above 135 degrees Fahrenheit. If you can hold your hand over a dish without feeling significant heat, it's probably not hot enough to prevent bacterial growth. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Legitimate restaurants should be happy to tell you when food was prepared or how long it's been on the buffet. If staff seem evasive or don't know basic food safety information, that's concerning. Well-trained employees should know about allergens, preparation methods, and food safety procedures. If you do get sick after eating at a restaurant, report it to your local health department. Many people assume food poisoning is just bad luck, but it's often preventable and always worth reporting. Health departments track complaints and use them to identify problem establishments. Your report could prevent others from getting sick. Food poisoning is more than just an upset stomach. It can lead to severe dehydration, kidney problems, and in rare cases, death. Certain populations like young children, elderly people, pregnant women, and those with weakened immune systems are especially vulnerable. What might be a day of discomfort for a healthy adult could be life-threatening for someone in these groups. The restaurants on this list represent the worst of the worst, places where basic food safety has been abandoned. But they're not unique. Every year, hundreds of restaurants across America are shut down for health violations. Many more operate with dangerous conditions that haven't yet been discovered by inspectors. The rise of social media has made it easier for customers to share their experiences and warn others about problematic restaurants. Don't hesitate to check recent reviews before trying a new buffet. Look for patterns in complaints. One person mentioning an upset stomach might be coincidence, but multiple reviews mentioning food poisoning are a clear warning. Remember that buffets face unique food safety challenges. Food sits out for extended periods, multiple customers access the same serving utensils, and the sheer volume of food makes proper temperature control difficult. Even well-run buffets require constant vigilance to maintain safety. When that vigilance fails, the results can be disastrous. Some warning signs are obvious, like the sewage backup at Chow King or the 41 violations at Uptown Buffet. Others are subtle, like slightly warm cold foods or employees who seem poorly trained. Learning to recognize both types of warning signs can help you make informed decisions about where to eat. The 6 restaurants we've discussed today represent failures at every level of food safety. From pest infestations to temperature abuse, from poor sanitation to contaminated storage, these establishments put profits over public health. They stayed open despite dangerous conditions, serving potentially contaminated food to unsuspecting customers. As consumers, we have the power to demand better. By checking inspection records, reporting problems, and refusing to eat at substandard establishments, we can push the industry to maintain higher standards. No one should have to worry about getting sick from a meal out. The next time you're tempted by an all-you-can-eat deal, remember these 6 restaurants. Remember the mouse droppings at Golden Corral, the sewage at Chow King, the roaches at multiple locations. Check those inspection scores, trust your instincts, and never be afraid to walk away from a restaurant that doesn't meet basic standards of cleanliness and safety. Your health is worth more than any buffet bargain. Stay informed, stay vigilant, and most importantly, stay safe out there. Because when it comes to these 6 restaurants and others like them, the only thing you can eat is regret.